Okay, let me know if you can hear me. Yeah, I know you can. I can tell that you can. All right, so welcome to the FOMC Minute Trade Room. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director at 10 Minute Trades. Remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes, and it is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully. And let's see what's going on with the FOMC minutes. So in the past, we have had a setup for this report, and it was a gold setup. And what's happened is the gold setup really just hasn't been working. And I don't like to not have a setup on what we think, might be a fairly major report, even though the minutes are theoretically a commentary on what took place in the statement. They often can move the market also. So we went back and did a whole bunch of testing, and we have what we think is a pretty good setup for the FOMC minutes. So first, let me show you an old DMM, what we were doing that really wasn't working. And it wasn't working for quite a while because we've been looking for a setup for this report really for many months, trying trap trades and quite a few different setups. And the one setup we really never tried, or if it didn't really appear that it was a good enough setup, was the range trade. Let me pull up a previous minute. Just let me pull up a DMM so you could get an idea of what we used to do, what we were doing. So you have to go back to November because we didn't, I'd say for the past two, let me see something. Maybe December might have been the last time we traded the minutes or tried. Nope, would have been November. 2 seconds. November. So I don't think that we had a report. Yeah, okay. November was the last. And November tells you why we took a shot walking away. Look at the DMM. February, stop. April, stop. Cancel. No move. July, stop. May, stop. August, not much of a move. October, not much of a move. Now, but there was something interesting going on. A bracket trade on the NQ might be a suitable alternative. Now, we kind of have 2 to 3 people that look at setups inside the company. January 26th was the statement, Jody. That was the statement, FOMC statement. Definitely different news. That's very impactful, very impactful. No reason to apologize. No apology. So there's 2 reports. You've got, well, there's 2 news events. The statement, which is always monstrous, and the markets pay unbelievable attention to them. And then the minutes, which have gotten more and more important as time has gone on. But you could see, so up until November, the minutes were problematic. Now, I'm just curious. What did we do in November? I believe, let's look at the video. Now, let's see what we were doing in November with 6 bad reports in a row. So in November, so it's obvious that we knew we had trouble on our hands because I was testing a trap trade on the right, okay? Testing a trap on gold because gold wasn't working as anything else. And not willing to do anything more than the MNQ on the other side. So we knew we had what's that joke when you have a dead animal in your hands or something, you know that it's dead. It's not, I can't remember what the joke is. If it's dead, it's dead. So this report was troublesome, to say the least. So it doesn't really matter what we did in November. The trap trade we rejected, okay? And the MNQ, let's just see how it was traded. Okay, so the MNQ, we started looking at the range. All right. So the MNQ, we started looking at the range in November. So back in November, we realized we had a problem. And if you're a trade room member, we try not to walk away. If there's, if it's not working, now there's, like I said, there's multiple people inside the company that do trade setups. The DMMs are by my boss who invented this whole system, and he has his way of doing things, and he sends out the DMMs, and I do the trade room. And that's why we always tell people in the trade room, there's always going to be extra trades. And that's probably true no matter who would do the trade room. If Chantal was running the trade room, she would have her extra trades that might not have DMMs. That's the nature of being a trade room moderator. You're always looking for extra things, especially the way that our company works, where we're always looking for events. I might find an event that really works for me, and my boss might hate that event and not think it's worth trading. So that's why there will always be trade room trades and then the regular DMMs. And he made the decision, which is perfectly okay, that right now he doesn't have the type of setup that he likes on the DM to create a DMM. And the process inside the company is when I get a setup that we like, I'll get it to him, and then eventually we'll get a new DMM. But it's a little bit slower than if you're a trade room member, because if you're a trade room member, there are plenty of trades that I've tested or I am testing that people trade that I haven't yet traded live. And like, for instance, this morning, I'll bet there's some people out there that traded the capacity utilization trade this morning using my setups and they probably made money. So there is a tremendous benefit to the trade room because I have to be extra careful because I have a lot of people watching me. It's not like I'm just trading by myself and I can take a huge amount of risk or extra risk. I have to remember that people like to do what I do. So the point is there's always going to be extra trade room trades and FOMC minutes. So we did some testing and we've come up with a setup that looks like this. Let me show you what's interesting, and I wasn't sure how it was going to hold up. This is the setup in July. It's a range trade. And it's a range trade that's a little bit unusual. Bear with me because I may be showing the wrong, I feel like I'm on the wrong, not showing the right video, so hang on. Yeah, this is not the right video. It's the right date, but I need to show you the right video. Okay, so here's July with this range setup that I'm going to explain in a minute. So the range goes back before 2 o'clock and it goes till a minute after. So what we're looking for is to capture a movement after the news is released. And we're starting the range a little bit before the news is released, because that's honestly what tested well. So we start our range. I'll get into the exact specific time, but it starts a little bit before 2 and it goes to a little bit after 2. And the catch is you want to be patient and wait more than a minute for the range to get broken. And look, like any trade, understand the risk. You can break the range on one side, and then of course it can reverse and stop you out. It's no different than any other trade. But in the testing and looking back, you know, what's nice about a range trade is it's very nice to test. So July had a good solid move after the news. And the FOMC minutes generally are not nearly as dramatic as the minutes. The minutes explode. I mean, the statement explodes. The minutes usually don't explode, but they usually have a nice move, as witnessed by July, then August. So August. And one nice thing about the range trade when you're testing, if you have a 20-minute range, let's say you're trading a 20-minute range, you don't have to sit there and wait for the whole 20-minute range to draw itself and to calculate itself. You can put the range on, put the trade on 10 seconds before your orders are scheduled to be placed on the chart, and the whole range will draw itself. So in other words, if you have a range that starts 2 minutes before the hour and you put your trade on at the hour, that 2-minute range will be there. You don't have to wait for it. A lot of people get confused by that and they go, I can't do a 20-minute range trade. I'm going to have to wait 20 minutes every time I test it if they want to test a range trade, but you don't. And it's just the way replay works and the way that the software is configured so that you don't have to wait. Time is linear, so the software knows when the time of the beginning of the range starts, so you can put your charts on any time, before, after, or in while the range is being drawn. August looked a lot like July. And then November. November was the month I was just showing you. The trade room recording where we did the trap trade on gold and we did the MNQ. So then we went back. I tested the range on the NQ. And again, so it's a minute after the news and still nothing's happened. You got to be patient. Is Mark here? You got to be patient. Patience is my middle name. Actually, patience is the quality that I have the least of, which is really not good for a trader. You want to be patient. If there's one thing that I have to work on, it's being patient. This trade is an absolute test of patience. Look at this trade in November. It didn't fill for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And the rule on this trade is you just got to bite the bullet, take the risk, and let it play. You got to wait. Because look, if you if you didn't close, if you closed the trade after 2 minutes, you lost a great move. It had a really good move. And then we go to January. January was the first month we traded this, and I was not patient. And I missed the move. And I'm embarrassed to say it. Embarrassed. So if you don't hear me talking during this trade after I put the trade on, it's because I've walked away from my computer and gone into another part of the office, the basement of the office, where I can't hear, see, or do anything to screw up my trade. I'm teasing, but look, again, patience, 2 minutes. Now, 4 minutes, I might not wait, honestly. I might not. That's a little bit much. But another very nice move, okay? Very nice. And not horribly stop challenged. So good-looking testing. Good-looking testing. And let's trade it, you know? Trade one contract if you're not sure. And go for 30 ticks. That's what I would do if I was only trading one. Because I have to put on a reasonable stop size because of the volatility of the current markets. Okay? So just choose the regular software and go down and choose the range trade so you don't forget. Trade type, range trade. Range trade. Okay? And I might as well label it while I'm down here. Range trade. And we might as well record this while we're doing this. Let's do all the things we got to do. I'm actually a very funny person, Donna. I'm a songwriter, and when I do concerts, I kind of do stand-up. But I would get fired if I said all the things I say when I'm like performing. Unfortunately, you can't. When you're a trader, you have to be really serious. And I am really serious. But deep in my heart, I'm like so not serious. It's really terrible. It's just I can't change my personal DNA. I am who I am, as Papa used to say. I am what I am. I am what I am, right? And that shows that I'm about 95 years old. Okay, so we're choosing a range trade. And then we're going to go up to the top and enter our settings. Ticks above the range are 5. Ticks below the range are 5. And our graphics get shown on chart. And I like a certain color for the range. I like purple. We're not using look back. We're using a range start time. 13:58. That's our start time. 00. And choose the number of positions you want to trade. The first target is 18. Let me just look if that's what I'm going to do. Well, just thinking how I want to approach this. I'll tell you how I want to approach this. I'm going to use 3 positions, 15, 25, and 50. And my stop is going to be 40. I don't think it needs to be that big. But it is the NQ. I may make it 30, but let's see. Whoops, that's my profit. That's my stop. And then we have our entry time. So we have a range start time, That's what starts the range to draw. And then we have the time that our range ends. That's the activation time or the entry time. And that becomes 1401. And it's a range trade. Okay. One more time from the top. So at the bottom, you down there, we'll check it again. You've chosen range trade. Ticks above the range is 5, below the range is 5. Graphic shown on chart gets checked. Choose the colors you like. You don't need to choose my colors. Your charts are different. And then, but what's important is the start of the range, 1358. It's 1:58 p.m. Choose the number of contracts you want to trade. I'm going to use 3 with targets of 15, 25, and 50. 40 tick stop. And then our activation time is 14:00:01. Let me make sure I'm right about that. I think it's 14:01. My mistake. I thought I was wrong about that. In other words, we want to wait a minute, not a second. 14:01:00. Very important. Big difference from what I said initially. 14:01:00. So we've essentially got a 3-minute range. Okay? That's how you set up a range trade. Now, let me tell you to do something just to protect yourself. Let's say you make a mistake. One of the most common mistakes people make, entry time is the same thing as activation time, Andrew. I'm testing the new software. And I'm going to change that to entry/activation time so people don't get confused. Activation time and entry time are the same. I was going to say, if you want to be safe, a lot of times when we choose the range trade, people forget to turn on the range trade. So make sure your bracket up at the top is no more than 5, okay? And not smaller than 4. So if you screw up, and even 5 is a little small for this trade, I would probably set that to 10. Make your bracket 10. If you screw up and you don't, and by accident, you don't put the range trade on, it'll most probably be because you left it on bracket. So it'll do a bracket trade. And if your bracket at least is not a disastrous size, you might still have a chance to have a good trade if you screw up. Normally, what I would tell you is if you screw up and the range doesn't show up and you know that you chose graphics shown on chart, if any time you choose a trade and things just don't appear to be correct, close out, cancel by unchecking the enabled box. Don't trade if you think you made a mistake. But every now and then, for me, because I generally know what's going on and if I made a mistake, as long as I know my bracket is manageable for the trade that I'm taking, then I'll leave the trade on. And that has happened to me, for instance, in an API trade, which is a range trade. So we used to trade the API as a bracket trade also, so that if you accidentally did a bracket, it wouldn't be a disaster on the API. But it's just good to have backup in case you do make a mistake and you don't want to cancel. You could, if you don't mind taking extra risk, if you do something wrong and you know you've done it wrong, but you know your backup settings are not a disaster, then you don't have to cancel if you know enough to understand what's going on. Let's check our time sync by going where to the website time.is. So I'm watching gold just to see how it responds. Gold will have a move, I'm sure. I probably more meaningful to watch bonds because look, we tried gold for 8 months. The last 8 months, gold has not worked. So I'm not sure. I think bonds might be more interesting to watch to see if they have a decent move or not. And then we can come back and look at gold. Let's do that because look, we gave gold it's 8 months. That's how I feel about it. I'm not going to give Mr. or Mrs. Gold an opportunity to waste chart space. You got to earn chart space at 10-minute trades. You got to be a good index, not a mediocre performing index during a specific event. You got to behave. So I want to thank everybody on YouTube. Wow, thank you so much. Folks, give us a couple of likes over there. There's so many of you. How about hitting that like button? And how about signing up for our channel and hit the notification bell because we stream live real trades every day, almost every day. So no idea what's going to happen here. No idea whatsoever. No idea. It's very interesting. So it would have worked last month. You had to wait quite a while, 2 minutes at least. So the question is, can I wait 2 minutes? Can I? I think I can. I think I can. Who said that? The little, what's that stupid train that used to go up the hill? now I'm about 140 years old. What's that train? Okay, let me show my age. Mickey Mantle. All right, Mickey Mantle. Let me show my age. Now, no, I mean, I was going to say Joe DiMaggio, but that's not my time. So that's not fair. Willie Mays. Willie Mays. Hank Aaron. All right. Frank Thomas. Bobby Hull. All right. Billie Jean King. But I'm hip. I think young, and I'm hip. Yes, you did, Jody. I'm young, I'm hip, and I'm with it. No, you don't even talks that way anymore. No one even talks that way anymore. With it. All right, let's pay attention. See, now our range is starting to draw. So if you chose the range trade, you should be starting to see your range, right? It should be working. If it's not working, you've got 2 minutes to try and scramble around and fix it. But I generally, you know, especially if you're a beginner and something's not working, you can try and scramble around and try and fix it, but put your charts on sim. You don't need to take a lot of risk if something's not right. If things aren't right, you're always better off practice, get it right, and then do it. When I had my store in New York, we used to have a saying. It was really corny. It was buy it right the first time. We really wanted people to buy. I mean, we sold computers and built computers when people didn't even know what computers were. And man, if they bought it wrong, it was such a disaster then. It was so much more complicated than fixing things today. So you want to trade it right. The first time you go live, trade it right. Do it the right way. Make sure all your strategy's working properly. Now look, if there's such a big range, then we might not get a fill. So I don't want to see the range get so big that we don't have a chance of getting a fill. I'd rather it stay about, I mean, it's not going to stay where it is, I don't think, because now the news is going to come out. Okay, the report's out now. So now we have a minute until our orders show up. Now, look, we could get filled fast. It's possible. But it's not out yet because Financial Juice is not saying that it's out. So I don't like that. It's out now. You knew it was published in an instant, right? Now, today, it's too bad we didn't put our orders on immediately. But I've got to follow the rules, okay? I have to follow the rules of our trade. But I don't think I would want to enter short. I really don't. So I would wait 2 minutes here. But it's a very, very big range. So now they're just going over the minutes. Going over the minutes. So there's a secondary trade to trade this report. And I'll explain what it is. And it probably would have worked today because of the type of behavior that we had. Now, the market doesn't like. So look, I'll take my $500 anyway because look, our trade worked. Where's Chantal? Chantal has to take a bow, all right? Now, I'm not going to give Chantal all the credit, okay? I'm just not going to give her all the credit. Chantal, are you here? So folks, if you're watching on YouTube, please let me offer you a very quick offer into the trade room that you should be joining our trade room because all of our major reports this week and last week, CPI, they're working. So www.jointhetraderoom.com, www.jointhetraderoom.com. Come join us for $97 a month and you'll make it back on a good trade. Trade the good trades. Now let's talk about why this worked. Okay. Jody, let me hear some comments. It's definitely a two-trade opportunity. And yes, you could trade the breakout. But Jody, the truth is, folks, on YouTube, please, a couple of more likes and join the channel, and you can learn to do this with us. So Jody, the breakout trade was a valid trade. I'm sure you were looking at the ES, Jody. Bonds moved, but not that great. So I'll talk about my setup in a minute. I'm done, okay? I know that there could be a lot of other moves, but we like trading the first or the second one. The range trade gives us the second one, okay? Now, I'm assuming Jody traded the ES because that's her specialty, and it had the same move as the NQ. So I think we can set up an alternative for people that want to trade the ES. Excuse me, you can absolutely I'm sure you can trade a similar setup. But here's the deal. So yes, I was concerned that our range was too big. I was extremely worried that the range was too big, and it just barely, by one tick, got my final target. It just got it. But I swore to everybody that I would be patient, and I was patient. I waited until we got filled, and I was saying over and over to myself, yes, you're absolutely, the range is bigger than I want to trade. I could have canceled based on the range being too big. Okay. Jody, making $70 on the MES is $700 on the ES. You realize that, right? Now, the truth is, for everybody that knows, just the truth. Mark, you're a funny guy. The truth is that this is not a great breakout. It was a great breakout today. And it may be going forward that all of a sudden it's now going to be a great breakout. And that's great. That's awesome. We love if it's a breakout, but what could be safer than a range trade that works? Now, we know that there's tremendous volatility. And I made my targets not that big, actually, 15, 25. And then my final target was a little bigger. I think it was either 50 or 60. I wanted those first two targets because then I could put my stop into a safe area and have a nice profitable trade. Okay. Now, Lorenzo traded a breakout. I'm assuming Lorenzo traded the breakout and he grabbed the first move long. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And I would think that Lorenzo learned the way to do that because you came into this trade room all the time. Now, maybe Lorenzo knew how to do that before, but I've got to think that we helped him to trade these trades, to trade the news without being totally scared, right? So Lorenzo, tell me if I'm right, that we've helped you to trade these trades outside the box, because you were outside the box today. You did it differently than us. I would like to think that we had something to do with it. So he said no, we didn't help him at all. That's okay. I do have prior experience, but FOMC specifically. Oh, but FOMC specifically, he discovered through us. Okay, great. So Lorenzo's giving us the credit I was begging for. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Lorenzo. That's what I was looking for. All right, good. Good. So, hey, folks in the room, let me just sell to YouTube for 10 more seconds because my boss will kill me if I don't. Because look, we're streaming for free and we want people to join the trade room. So YouTube, www.jointhetraderoom.com, $97 a month. I mean, we made 500 just now. And I promise I can tell you what trades to trade. You don't have to trade that bond report today, right? Because they aren't good. And you could trade 7 times in a month and do really well. And that's the one thing people don't realize. You don't have to trade every event to make money. And learning how to rant is absolutely my best lesson. I agree. I'm getting ready to go on a rant right now, Mark. I could feel it. I could just feel it. It's building up inside of me. It's like a disease. But I don't really have anything to rant about today. I don't want to rant and get fired. There's too much potential to get fired with rants. So I'm going to behave. Now let's talk about, I wanted to talk about 2 things. This trade, let's look at the range and let's look at for why you can use any excuse in the world, right, to cancel a trade. And I'm the king of canceling trades because I have to keep safety of people in the room at the forefront. So I may cancel a few too many trades, but I could not bring myself, I'm going to show you the video right now. I could not bring myself to cancel this trade because I trust I really trust the testing. I really do. When you can go back to July and it still worked, that's very strong testing, okay? Because the markets are nothing like they were in July, like they are now. So look at the range that got created before the news even came out, and the minutes were late. So yes, we missed. And I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, we missed the trade. This trade came early. Watch. It's 2 o'clock. The news comes out. Lorenzo can't stand it. He's not going to wait. He trades, and he has a very profitable trade. Jody had a great trade. She just made more money because she realized she had lost a few bucks on an earlier trade. Jody made $100 on the MES. That's like $1,000 trade on the ES. It's 10 times. So look, I figured here I am. I'm in the room. I'm watching, and I'll tell you what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like a loser right now because I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I can take this trade live in the room anymore. The range is too big. It's too big. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? These markets, they're on crack. They're on crack. This market could easily break the short side, easily. And my gut feeling was I was wishing it would go up right there, and it didn't. And I'm thinking now Mark's watching me. Mark's going to really give me a lot of crapola if I don't stay in this trade. I couldn't cancel this trade because I would have lost face. I would have had to quit my job if I canceled this trade. That's how I look at it. I had to stay in this trade no matter what. Even though I had a good reason to cancel, I could have easily said, you know what, folks, the range, it's too big, too risky. We can't take this. I can't do it. But no, every range going back to July broke in a tradable manner. That's what our whole DNA is based on, analyzing the previous reports. It's what I say in every webinar. I had to follow the rules. I had to. And watch. And I really, I thought there was a good chance it could work, but I thought there was just as good a chance I could get stopped out because that was a big range. 507. Hey, folks, if I would have calculated how big that range was, I wouldn't have stayed in. It's 100 points. And look, boom, I swear it hits my target by one tick. One tick. You can see it. It's at the bottom. One little tick. So the retail trade that I didn't get filled on this morning, the market gave me a gift just now. It filled my target at the final. No, you know what? I'm wrong. No, I'm not wrong. Right to the little tick, right? That one little tick. So the market gave me a gift. You can do both, Jody. You can trade both. So here's what I was going to say. You know what other way we could have used to trade this? We could have traded this like earnings. If you trade earnings, when I'm a Jedi, you can do both, Mark. I agree. We could have traded it as an earnings trade, one-click range trade, and we could have manipulated our orders at 2 o'clock, and we got pulled in on that long. We would have got pulled in on that long, and we could have had the range trade set up on the other chart. And if we were out of the other trade in less than a minute, we could have traded the range trade on the other side. So maybe we'll consider doing that next time. Okay. There's all sorts of things you don't always think about. You just don't. You can't think of everything. But I love what Mark says. When you become a Jedi, you can have the squeeze play enabled, catch that up move prior to the range. That's exactly what I'm saying. So the squeeze play is very much almost exactly, Mark, like the one-click range trade. They're almost the same. They're almost the same. So that's what I was thinking also. Absolutely a valid way to trade. But folks, you never complain if you make $500 with not a heavy amount of contracts. And it was pretty stress-free, really. I mean, I was nervous about it not working, but that was my only real worry. And there's other trades where not only do you worry about a trade not working, but you worry about not being able to manage the trade because it's so chaotic. Now, do you all want to see what would have happened in this morning's retail trade if if I had just chosen a different, I downloaded the data already. If I had just chosen a different order size, watch. I think I'm right that it would have been a monster trade. So I'm putting my charts on replay, okay, playback. And I've been using playback so much, especially ever since Ninja fixed my platform, and I no longer have to wait to do a playback. There was some sort of a bug on my computer that made me wait a minute before each playback. It was unbearable. So let me set up this morning's trap trade on retail sales. That was an 8:30 trade, right? So I'm going to put the charts. I'm going to have to enter the time twice, so don't worry about it. I'm on the right charts. Let me show you the setup, because I think, I'm almost positive that if I had just chosen the slightest little change, just to, it's educational to understand how using the tiers can dramatically change your trade results. I just want to show you that. We were not filled. So put on the trap trade, right? And I've got to put my tiers. So instead of using 18, I'm going to use 16, which I used actually last month. And I'm still going to use 30 because that almost serves the same purpose as keeping me safer if there's a big move in one direction. The time of the event was 8:30, and I put my orders on 5 seconds before the event, and my stop was 18. Now, if I'm right, and I'm not sure that I'm right, if I still don't get filled, then I'm going to take myself out of the corner. So let's see. So Derek, the reason I'm showing this is I didn't get filled, and I think I didn't get filled because I was one tick short of getting filled. So let's see if I'm right. So let me reset the time. So I have to put the time in at 8:29, and I'll give it 15 seconds. Okay, so I'll put 8:29:45. The trade is at 8:30, and I'd like to record this, if you don't mind. And I'll fix the chart in a second. And the reason I want to record this, because I think this is educational to understand how the trap trade settings work. It gives you an understanding how to use the trap trade to your advantage, obviously. What I expect to happen is in 10 seconds, my orders are going to show up, and then I'm going to get filled long one of the tiers. If my theory is correct, I'm going to get filled right here. It's going to take a little, maybe I'm wrong, because maybe that was the move right there that didn't fill me. But I would bet my life that this morning it would have filled. Now, there are issues with playback and the servers they use also. But no, so it's going to miss me still, it looks like, by that. It may be 2 ticks. It may be 2 ticks. So maybe there was no saving that trade this morning. That's what it looks like. Looks like there was no saving it. Now look, the nanosecond in which you put a trade on, right? That nanosecond could be a 2-tick difference also. So let me show you what I mean anyway, and what I believe I missed, but it doesn't look like I really did, which is fine. I'm okay if I'm a little bit incorrect. It was very close though, and there's no law that says I couldn't have done this. Let me show you what I could have done. Okay. I could have seen, it wouldn't have been easy. I could have seen that move there. I could have moved up my target to there. And I could have moved that up to there. Because it's actually, think about it, it's a better entry above the low of the day. Okay. And look, it still missed it by one. Bingo. Now, let me speed this trade up. It never comes back down. It just goes up and up and up. Watch, I'm speeding the trade up. Unless I don't think I'm wrong about that. My memory, it just went up and up. And you could have trailed also your stop. So look, there was a little bit more of a pullback than I would have thought on that candle at about 4 minutes after the trade, 3 minutes. But it's still just a couple of ticks in your order. And you're allowed to move the orders. You're allowed. You're allowed to move an order on any trade. Okay? There's no law that says you can't. If you think that you see good support and resistance, and you can put your order, place your order around support and resistance, right? Do it. Because you may be right. The market often respects support and resistance. It just does. But I just thought it was fascinating that a tiny difference in the tiers or in not moving the orders would have made a difference. And, you know, one of the reasons the old way that we use the trap trade is we put our orders on a lot sooner in the old days. I still believe the markets are too volatile to put the orders on more than a couple of seconds before the events. They're just, you'll get filled early and you'll get bad fills more often than you'll have a situation like this. But if you're quick and you're really smart, sometimes you can catch the right thing to do. Look at the markets now. I'm just putting back the markets that we just traded. So the markets like the minutes, which good. I'm saying good. I would rather these markets go up. I don't want the markets to go down, and I don't want there to be a war in the Ukraine. I really don't. I'm tired of these wars. It's enough already. There's no reason to kill everybody. Any questions, folks? You know, we have one more trade room tonight, and it's an interesting trade. It's Australia jobs. It's going to be a trap trade. Anybody? I hope you'll all make it. Any questions? I think this was a great trade room. I'm ready to rant, but I'm not going to. The State Department has a press conference, and I think that was for 2:22. It just started. Financial Juice is awesome. Everybody should subscribe to this. And if you do, it really, there's a lot of news. They have a lot of really usable, great stuff. They're a good company. Now, if they start competing with us, then I'll have to say terrible things about them. But right now, they're a very good company. Any questions? I want to thank everybody on YouTube. Last chance, folks. Join the trade room. What a great URL we bought. I mean, this is the greatest URL. www.jointhetraderoom.com. Can you beat that? You can't beat that. Jointhetraderoom.com. I'm not going to say what I would have called it. Limited time, $97 a month on YouTube. It's a great deal. We do a lot of teaching, and we have a lot of fun also, I think. I think it's, the trade room's awesome. I love it. But, you know, that's just me. All right, folks. Thanks on YouTube. Give us a couple more likes before you go. Subscribe to the channel. That's one of the best, most amount of people we've had at a YouTube stream. Pretty soon we'll get to monetize our channel, and we'll be rolling in dough. Because that's the way you make money, by making money off of YouTube. Right? Yes. I love YouTube. Anyway, any questions, folks? We have a 7 o'clock trade room, for Australia jobs. So I'll see everybody at 7. Hopefully you traded and made some money on this. The range trades, the new range trades that we're coming up with are really interesting. They're not going to work forever, but we're going to try and take advantage of them as long as they keep working. So now what I have to do is get a mini DMM created so that everybody gets the DMM. I think people are less afraid to trade if they see a DMM accompanying the report. So that's what we're trying to do. It's really, if you think about how time consuming it is to create one DMM. So I came up with this idea, which I think is a great solution to get a trade on quicker and so that people can take advantage of it. So I made up these mini market movers, and it'll be the trade setup and nice commentary with a recent trade. So you can watch a recent live trade if there is one, or if some testing, and the setup. It won't have all of the other data because you know how long it takes to do all that other data? I'd rather send people a setup than have data, because I think it's more important to have the setup and be able to trade it while the markets are friendly to the setup. So that's what we're trying to do. Anyway, last question. Otherwise, I'll see everybody at 7. And that's it. I'll see everybody at 7. See ya.